Shout out, shout out, the Connects, Luis Guzman. Don't ever go, never leave my side. Passion's all I have, courage is my drive. And if I lost you, I would lose it all together. I wouldn't have
Welcome to I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman podcast, where we highlight the journey of entrepreneurs and business people alike to showcase that every light and dark moment creates a beautiful piece of art. This is episode 24. I am your host, Luis Guzman. My guest today is Danilo Bonazza. He is a world-renowned artist ranked top 5 globally in the mosaic design space, where he specializes in handcrafted mosaic tile creations for commercial and residential properties. He is the owner of Art and Mosaics, which was established in 2008, right after installing the largest and most significant showroom for mosaic art, the Sechis showroom in NYC. His artisan custom pieces are showcased all over the world, from mural centerpieces in hotel lobbies to Ivanka Trump's mosaic tile bathroom featured in Elle magazine, as well as many other clients that stretch from distinguished businessmen to mosaic backdrops for the WWE wrestling entertainment business. In addition to his long list of clients and custom pools, Danilo also hand makes mosaic canvases, catching the iconic imagery of the likes of John Lennon, Prince, Marilyn Monroe, and Marlon Brando, among others. He is truly an artist at his craft and has relocated to New Jersey to further expand his worldly, opulent custom designs to the tri-state area. Danilo, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so
love
much.
it. I love it. Thank you again for making time. We were trying to set this up for like a month or so. My apologies for the back and forth. We're all busy men, so
of course, yeah.
Thankful we made a moment in time to get together and tell your story, because my podcast is about telling the artist, the business owner's story. So I'm excited to hear yours, and I start every podcast with the same question. So I will ask you the same question. Who is Danilo Bonazza?
Danilo Bonazza is a craftsman and hardworking man. That's first of all. Second is I'm someone who's trying to keep the love for what I do every day. I'm blessed enough to do something that I truly love, and I wake up with a smile on my face every morning that I go to work.
Great feeling.
I'm a very lucky person. So I'm trying to just express myself, my ideas, my visions for my clients. And I try to challenge myself every time in something different in every single project. That's what keeps it interesting and diverse all the time. I believe it's one of the most important things if we want to keep being happy is challenging yourself, because
Absolutely.
Once you have done with a challenge and you succeeded in trying to do what you do, then you're very proud of yourself. You know that you struggled a little bit in achieving that goal or that project or finishing that specific art piece. And then you can look back and just being very happy. That's the key for my happiness, at least.
It's very satisfying because I can relate. Something that's very hard and difficult to do always has the greatest return on investment. That's my opinion. So if something is challenging or makes me adapt or change who I am, whether that's physically at the gym or mentally at work, etc., there's a silver lining on the other side of that because of the hard work and the passion that you have. So I think it's what drives us as human beings, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe, besides business-wise, but also as a person, you should always try to work on yourself. Life is a journey. Like,
yes, sir.
The moment that we think that we arrived, we're done.
Correct.
We lost. To me, I need to believe or try to be better than yesterday. And
Absolutely.
Tomorrow, hopefully being better than today. That works in my business, that was in my craft, it works as a person. I want to be a better human being every day than the day before. Or
Absolutely.
at least I want to try.
We're all human, right? But
Yeah.
I always say intention is the most important thing. as long as you have the intention to want to change, the intention to get better, and you have the awareness, you can move mountains with that. But if you don't know what intention is, if you don't have the discipline, and if you don't have the awareness, you'll stay complacent. You'll stay in the same place. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a specific motto that I use in my business, but also in life in general. I always picture myself every time I have a little challenge in front of me, like there's a huge tree and I have an axe and I need to take down that tree. So if you see the tree that's just too big and you don't even start, you will never take it down.
You will never take it down.
But if you start swinging the axe, maybe it will take 1,000, hits, but sooner or later that tree will fall. Absolutely. Somebody can do it with just 100. Maybe you need 1,000 or 2,000. But if you start and you just keep swinging it, sooner or later you will achieve your goal. So it's a matter of bettering yourself. It's not about just winning the challenge against someone else. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But if you challenge yourself and you keep at it and you keep trying to improve yourself, you will win at the end. At least as bettering yourself at the end, you will be better than a month, a year, 10 years ago. So that's the main challenge, and that's the journey and the beauty of the journey. Not really where it takes you, but along the way, how much you can improve and how much you can do.
Absolutely, and I share that same mantra with you. I believe that the destination is never the important thing. It's the journey that got you there. So, I can use my example as weight loss. The journey of waking up every day at 4:30 and going to the gym and eating healthy. That was the real, how can I say this? Like the challenge, right? But the end result, okay, I lost weight, but it wasn't as satisfying as remembering the journey that got me there. And I think that's as human beings, as artists, as entrepreneurs, we are enamored by the journey, because I think it makes us more creative. It makes us better people, and it's the spice of life.
Yeah, it makes you feel alive.
You took the words right out of my mouth. It makes you feel alive.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest return on investment that you can have as a human. Danilo, tell me about the genesis of your beginning in the artistic world of mosaics, or just inspiration in general to do art.
Well, it's a little particular story. My mother always tells me that I was about 4 years old. I probably believe more like 5, but I was stealing my father's empty bottles of wine, breaking them in pieces, and putting all the pieces of glass on the sand. I'm from an ocean town, so we have a beautiful beach. And I was putting all these pieces in the sand to make animals and figurines and portraits and landscapes and little kids things.
Yeah, breaking.
And my father was definitely very upset because I broke his bottles of wine. So he would beat me up, but no matter how much he beat me, I kept doing it.
You kept doing it.
So it's in my blood since I was 4 years old.
Look at that! Holy cow, man! So that was the genesis of how the artistic spark started.
Yeah.
And then you got a reputation around the neighborhood for being an artist.
And for stealing their bottles of wine.
So that was your beginning into the world, was just stealing bottles of wine, cutting them, and making the art.
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you remember the first one you made, what it looked like?
No, I was 4 or 5 years old, so probably a cat or an animal or a tiger. I don't know.
Such a cool story, man. See, and it all came from your hometown, the inspiration to want to create.
Yeah, being surrounded by all these amazing mosaics was inspiring every single day, even when I was not looking for it. You just walk around the streets in my town, and you're just surrounded by everything. The main streets in my hometown are still 4,000 years old pebbles that you just walk on.
Wow,
it's amazing.
I need to get to Italy, man. That's on my bucket list.
You should.
Oh Lord, man. And last thing, because again, this was something I forgot to ask you previously, and we'll end with this. How do you become top 5 mosaic artists in the world?
Hard work.
What's the like? How does that the qualification?
Well, there's a lot of different things. I won a lot of awards, and there used to be a competition in Dusseldorf in Germany that I won it twice. I participated twice in it, and I won it both times as the best tile artist in the world. And then from there, I mean, there's not really. It's not like boxing or UFC that there's a ranking. But at that point, you pretty much know what you're doing and the kind of projects you do. Yeah.
Gotcha, man. Wow. Again, such a powerful story. Powerful, Danilo. We got to do it again soon. I mean,
whenever you want.
I absolutely.
If I'm around, sometimes I travel, but you just let me know.
I'll go to Italy with the crew, and I will do it in Italy somewhere.
Sure.
That'd be an amazing. Imagine that.
Why not? Well, another podcast that I did, I was actually in Tuscany.
Oh, nice.
It was like 2 months ago. I rent this amazing villa every year with the hills in Tuscany with olive trees and a beautiful swimming pool. And I go there on vacation with my wife and my friends that they just drive down from all over Italy. And we just have a blast for like a week. I cook all the time, and we have fun and music. It's amazing. But there was this podcast. So I actually did the podcast with a beautiful
backdrop
of Tuscany. So it was great.
Great stuff, man. I want to go back 1974.
Yeah.
I don't want to mispronounce this. Ravenna, Italy?
Ravenna.
I have to learn my Italian. I know you'll be a great coach for me. So you being an artist, Mosaic artistry, I want to get into your backstory, how you got into that. But my question I had while I was doing my research that kind of stuck out to me was, do you consider your hometown in Italy to be your greatest muse?
Probably, yes.
I felt that when I was researching. And why so?
Probably, yeah. Not the only one, but probably, yes. Reason being is because Ravenna has a huge tradition. It's considered to this day the capital of the world for mosaic art.
Really?
Yes. Everybody knows or heard of Byzantine art. The reason why it's called Byzantine, it's because it comes from Byzantium. It's a Latin word that was the name of Ravenna. The original name of Ravenna was Byzantium. So then when during the Roman Empire, they actually moved the capital from Rome to Ravenna. So Ravenna for about 80, 90 years, I don't remember exactly now, it was the capital of the Roman Empire. Then from there, it moved to Constantinople, today Istanbul. But for almost a century, Ravenna was the capital, and it started developing all this new, special art. Instead of painting, the artists were putting these pieces of gold, marble, and stones and glass together to creating scenes or representations and dedicated to the empire or the church. So all our churches are adorned by the most amazing mosaics, all in 24-karat gold that you could ever see. So being surrounded by all this obviously was a big inspiration. And then I tried to take that and moving to the next level, which means not making just a little, art piece for the church or the museum, but doing something on larger scales and different aspects and different new challenges and what I like to call functional art. That's what I try to do most of the time. That's why I fell in love with doing what I do in swimming pools, because people actually not only see my art, but they enjoy it.
Understood. So, yeah, it's like a living, breathing piece, so to speak.
And they have parties, they have people over, they invite people, they all swim in this, swimming pool that is also a canvas, pretty much.
Right.
So that's what really brings me joy and interest, knowing that once I'm done, then people will really enjoy, will have fun with it, will have parties, they will have friends over, families, and I love that. When some of my clients, after years, they still call me and telling me, hey, we're having an amazing party. You have no idea how happy we are. I'm showing, this beautiful swimming pool that you created for me. That still gives me the goosebumps.
Oh,
and this
man,
is happening all around the world. I
Yeah,
do projects in more than 100 countries. It's
wow, it just feels like a high that you want to keep chasing, right?
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of it, and Steve Jobs put this perfectly. He said, you have to sell a product that connects to the heart.
Yeah.
And I think in your space of Mosaic art style pools, that connects to the heart because first of all, you're in someone's home. That's already intimate, right? But second of all, you're building a masterpiece, so to speak, a one-of-one piece of art that will forever be adorned by that homeowner or by that business, right? So it's your DNA for the rest of their lives as they're in that property that they're going to remember every day. That's a very deep-rooted connection with the client. And it's actually, a question that I wanted to ask you. I feel that artistry, business, it's a passion, it's a feeling, it's a special connection. Have you ever done business with a client that did not have that passionate, personal rapport with the project? Like for money strictly, or how did you feel doing that? Is it something you like to do?
Yeah. Every project is different. So every time I try to evaluate what I have in front of myself, in front of me. So client, money, interesting project or not, vision, if they allow me to express myself or not. So all these things come into play, and sometimes I just walk away because, not every time I have to do a project that I don't like. Sometimes I have to. It's still a business, so sometimes.
Correct.
But not all the time. Like I walked away in the last year probably from 5-6 projects.
5 or 6. Is there one in particular you can speak about?
No, I prefer not to mention, and definitely not names.
No, of course not.
There was a pool. Let's just put it generically. There was a specific pool. It was a big project. Was very good money wise. It was not in the right location at the right moment. Now I have a 3-year-old son, so I try to stay around as much as possible. Sometimes I still have to travel, obviously, but this project was big. It would take me away for like 3.5 months. I just came back from another project that took me away for 2 months. So, and then the client was not that easy to deal with. They were changing their mind constantly. So I already knew that would present challenges. I was, starting producing the material, and then I saw that we're changing the colors, changing things. They were not following my vision anymore. So then at a certain point, I told them, like, I'm so sorry. I just don't like working that way. If I don't like working what I do, I cannot even give myself like completely. I can't give 100% to you. So it's better if we just,
go our separate ways.
Yeah,
Understood.
Ways. And he was very upset, but it is what it is.
Like
they don't have to accept my proposal.
Correct.
I don't have to accept, the fact that I have to work for them as well. So I can refuse and just say, no, thank you.
Correct. And it's to add on to that, I mean, I'm in the construction business as well. And the most powerful word you can say to a potential client or to an existing client is no.
Yeah.
Once you say that, it gives you power because you're showing them, first of all, you have integrity. I'm not just going to do something strictly for money. I don't care how much money is involved. There's integrity. There's respect for the individual. There's respect for the project. And there's respect for the person that's handling the project, which would be you. So having all those facets working together simultaneously for good will always have a beautiful end result. But when you're falling into the trap of dead ends, red flags, changing the project, changing the scope, everything becomes an issue when it shouldn't be. That's when you have to realize, maybe this is not for me. And I've been in that position. I know you've been in that position as well from what you said. So moving forward now in business, what are some best practices you try to implement to avoid having to not have that type of turnover with not being able to do business with the homeowner?
It's very difficult because it really depends on who you have in front of yourself. And, unless you know the person already, But most of the time, you have a new client, you don't really know how they're thinking and, what their vision is or what they try to accomplish and what they really think about you. If you're just, somebody who works in their property and they can just pilot you or like direct you in any direction they decided they want based on how they wake up, or if they're open to explore, different possibilities, if they give you the chance to express yourself and they trust you as a technician, because in my field, especially when I'm doing swimming pools, there's a lot of technical knowledge that I need to have to be able to succeed. A swimming pool is a very specific environment. There's the big challenge of the water, the pressure, the climate change, especially like in this area.
Correct.
Summer
North
is
Jersey.
extremely hot,
and the winter is extremely cold.
So this change of temperature messes a lot with the materials. They expand, they contract. So you need expansion joints. So you need to know what kind of material to use for the installations. The waterproofing aspect is key. Knowing how cement and concrete react in these environments. So all this stuff I had to study, a long time to try to understand, and using the right technique, the right materials, the right practices to be able to have a successful final product. So it's not just about creating the tiles, the RPs, or applying that. It's knowing how to apply it. It's knowing what happens underneath my tiles and try to control that as much as possible using the right techniques and the right materials with the right timing and everything else. So besides an artist, I am a technician in my craft. I created my knowledge with hard work, with a lot of testing before, the real application on site.
Trial and error.
That's pretty much how I created my own technique and my own sets of rules that I follow strictly. So if the client does not understand, that needs to trust you and trust your knowledge, and they just want to cut corners because they want to go cheaper, or they want to install something that cannot be installed, just because they like it, or someone told them that you can just buy this and you'll be fine. Because obviously there's a lot of sales people that they need to sell whatever they have over there. So if the client doesn't trust my opinion and my knowledge, then we have a big issue, obviously. But you don't know prior, to when you sit down with the client. That's the first approach I have. I sit down with the client and another technician, if there is, like an architect or engineer that's involved in the project.
With.
A designer. Usually they are hired by the client. So especially, my clients are usually high-end clients with high-end homes and projects. So there's usually an architect or
several hands
involved.
In the pot.
Yeah.
Right,
so you need to convince everybody to be on board and trust you in what you're doing, that you're doing the right thing. So sometimes some of these architects, they present one material that they saw at a show or somewhere else and they liked it. So they asked me if I can do something with it. Sometimes I can, sometimes you can't, because it's something that's not approved for submerged areas, and they don't know. And they were told that, yeah, of course you can install it in a pool. Yeah, go ahead. Don't worry about it. A lot of the times that's not the case. So, but you don't know until you sit down and you try to figure out what kind of person you have in front of you. And you always try to work it out. Even if they don't understand, you try to explain. You try to convince them that there are rules that need to be followed, because again, a pool is a very specific and special environment. Has its own climate, creates its own, different rules based on the water, the pressure, the outside, during the day, during the night, during the winter, during the summer. It changes all the time. It's very, very extreme. So that's why over the years then I developed some techniques and using some materials, some of them imported from Italy, because some of the stuff that we have over there, it's by far
Better.
the best in the world. We have a huge tradition in tiles and things, so we've been experimenting with materials for so many centuries and thousands of years. So
that's for you, is like, I guess, being a kid in a candy store, when you're able to create with no limitations, do things that probably outside the box, but when you take those chances, that's when you come out with some beautiful things that you never thought would be possible.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to throw some stuff at the wall and see what sticks, right?
Yeah.
For lack of a better expression. And I feel that in the world of mosaic art, the possibilities are endless. And you being a amazing example of what an artist is in your craft, the education factor is important.
It's key.
And that's something, you took the words out of my mouth. It's key. I use this technique as well when in my construction world, where the client says, "You're way too expensive. Why?" And my rebuttal is always, "You're not just paying for the service I'm providing. You're paying for my education that I had to learn over 15 years. That I learned by making mistakes, that I learned by going to different places to research, study, staying up, watching videos, learning, being on the field, making those mistakes in real time, mixing concrete, learning the difference of plastic, how it bows or it expands. The same thing with aluminum, how it can also stretch out in hot or cold temperatures. The same with wood. So there's many different facets that are stretched deeper than just the price. And I think in your world, it's like a symphony, because you're dealing with engineers, client, other partners in the project. How do you handle the artistry part? You kind of explained to me, right? How do you handle the business aspect of it? I'm very curious as to know, how do you price out a project that's a one of one? How do you, what's your process behind that?
I try to consider, first of all, the materials that we are installing.
Correct. Okay.
Sometimes I use, most of the time is glass based, but sometimes I also use gold, 24 karat gold, or platinum. So obviously these are way more expensive.
Whole different price
glass. So depending on how much of those materials I have to use in a project, that obviously has a big take on the final price. So I gauge that. I gauge the price of the materials. I gauge the price of all the other materials that I need to use. So the preparation of the vessel. Let's say there's a swimming pool. Sometimes they give me, most of the time we're talking about gunite swimming pools. Not only.
Yes.
I also installed
okay.
a lot of things on stainless steel vessels. But most of the time an in-ground pool is gunite. Which is, a special technique for pouring concrete. It's concrete based. It's called gunite or shotcrete, depending on the situation where it is. Here in New Jersey, is gunite. So once I have that, I have to inspect the shell and the walls and the floors and everything on site, because sometimes they give me pools that the walls are a quarter of an inch off. Oh, wow. Sometimes they're 3 inches off. So obviously you have to, once I do the preparation, which I do it myself because I learned not to trust anybody else in doing that. So I'm using special cements with fibers and bonding materials in it that they stick very well to the existing concrete of the gunite of the pool. So if I have to adjust 1/4 of an inch is one thing. If I have to adjust 3 inches is another. So there's way more material, way more labor, way more time, way much more time. So that is a big factor for the final price. Then there's the waterproofing. Then there's I'm using epoxy materials for installation and grouting. Then there's the expansion joints. How many expansion joints? Depending on the shape of the vessel, how big the pool will be. If it's 1,000 square feet, it's one thing. If it's 3,000 square feet,
it's a whole nother thing.
It's an all another thing.
Wow. Fascinating.
The bigger it is, and the more it expands or contracts, winter and summer, or night and day. the temperature affects, the expansion and contraction of the materials big time. So the bigger it is and the more expansion joints you need. And so all that stuff plays into the final price. Plus the production of the material itself, could be very, very intricate mosaic. We have some samples, obviously, very artistic, or even very simple. I love doing simple pools as well, just a mix of 3-4 different colors with maybe a line of gold somewhere that enhances the steps or the water line. Just very flowy and elegant.
Got it.
But very sophisticated at the same time while keeping it simple. But if I have to create an artistic huge piece, it will take a long time in my workshop to produce it. So time is money. So, I try to give flat rates, but based on how long I'm estimating that it will take me. So let's say if that project will take me a month, then, it's going to be one price. If it's going to take me 3 months just for the production of the art piece in my workshop,
that's another
then
price.
The price will be much higher because so many more hours. And then at the end, it's up to me. If to produce what I'm producing is going to take me an extra week, I'm not going to charge the client. I'm giving him a flat rate. I estimated it will take me 3 months. It took 3.5. It's on me.
It's on you.
I'm pretty accurate. I learned over the years, most of my clients are actually surprised that if I tell them I will be done this in 2 months, usually it's a month and a half.
Nice. So you're always ahead of schedule.
Most of the time.
Most
of the time, which it's almost unheard of in the construction business. Like
yes,
every
I
time
understand.
They tell you like 5 months and then it takes a year. In my case, most of the time, unless there's some external factors that are out of my control. Out of my control. A pipe that burst into the swimming pool because the plumbing was not done correctly or something else. That's out of my control.
Got it.
But, if everything is okay, and I'm in full control of everything that happens, 90% of the time I finish like 1 or 2 weeks earlier. But 99% of the time on time. It's very rare that I finish a little later. Usually it's because maybe the client changed his mind, they expanded the thing a little bit, or they asked me to do some changes at the last minute, which we try to avoid, but sometimes it's
inevitable
okay.
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's inevitable. The client was just telling me, listen, I really like what you did over there. Can we do it even here? Even if we were not planning on doing it at the beginning, then it's like, okay,
let's do it. I'm laughing because it happens to me too.
But it's gonna be more time, obviously, and more
correct,
money.
And more money. Yeah. And that's my next question. So, do you ever take into consideration? And I know this is like an unwritten thing in construction, but contractors speak about this. The personality of the client, whether for good or for bad, does that affect your pricing?
No.
So if someone's very difficult versus very easy, is there a fluctuation?
Well, usually, no. Usually, if it's very difficult, that means that brings problems to the table. That means that probably the project will last longer because I don't care about his behavior, like, whatever. Obviously, like respect, and I give respect, and I need it as well. But besides that, usually to me, very difficult means that they don't know exactly what they want. And once we decide to do something and we sign an agreement, that's what I'm going for. But if they change their mind because, again, they just maybe don't have the vision or they don't understand what we're trying to do, and they just want something different, then we have to change materials, then we have to change or redo certain things, or like just changing direction. That means that the project is slowing down. So at the end, they will pay more, but not because they are a pain in the neck, but because they changed their mind and we had to redo things or changing things, or the new materials or other things, along the way. So that means more money, more time, more money, more material, more money. That's what it is. But it's not that if I like a client, this is a different thing. Like if I really, really like a client and the client is telling me that the project that I'm trying to do is a little out of his league as far as money, and I really like the client and I like the project, it happened a few times that I tried to give a very good discount because I told him, listen, I think you're a good guy, and you know what? I really like this project. I really would like to do it, and I understand you know, it's a little more money than you thought or you could afford. So let's work it out, you know, because at the end of the day, I love what I do. So I still want to do that project if I like it. So I try to be accommodating as much as I can. It's still business, so I still have to make money. Yeah. I'm not going to work for free. But if I can, you know, give like a 20-30% discount because the client cannot afford to do, you know, the first like
phase,
the first or cannot afford to pay what we originally thought, then, you know, if I really like the project and the client, I try to be accommodating.
Right. As long as
it doesn't happen all the time, but you know, I try as much as possible.
And I think that's important in service. I mean, in business as well as in service. I mean, we are in business to make money, but we also are indebted to the service aspect. So, you know, being serviceable, being malleable, understanding that there's a give and go when needed to make the customer happy, that can go a long way for future business and for return business or referrals. So I'm really big on that, and I noticed that you're that way as well. So that's an ideal, important, paramount thing in business, is knowing that we need to make money, but we are also here to provide a service to make people happy.
Yeah.
So understanding that fine line where the client is not losing, but you as a business is not losing either. And it's a fair transaction for both parties.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. It made me think about a question, because we're speaking a lot about home pools, right? But you also have done a lot of business with distinguished businessmen. You've worked for the WWE, big commercial properties, Ivanka Trump. Can you shed some light on, I'm a big WWE fan, so I wanted to know in particular how that experience was working with the WWE.
It was good. It was challenging, mostly because of the timing.
They wanted everything fast, right?
Well, it was okay, so the WWE was two projects in one. One was for the headquarters, where I created that mosaic with their symbol.
In Connecticut, yes.
The other one was for Vince McMahon.
Wow.
In his own private residential.
Wow.
Brand new building in Connecticut. The problem is that he really needed to do it fast, because the building was under construction, they were finishing it, there was like a liability thing, and he had a couple of parties that he needed to really finish and, you know, get it done. So it was a little challenging for that. Besides that, everything else was okay.
Okay.
It was not particularly difficult, besides the fact that I had to work on site like long hours, like from 5 a.m. until like, you know, sometimes midnight.
Oh, wow. And how long did it take to do the home mural and the...
Well, it was 2 bathrooms, a big, huge mural, a spiral mural around a spiral staircase. It took about 3 weeks to a month over there. The mural was about a week in my workshop, and then a week for the installation on site at the WWE.
Okay, nice. So under pressure, you work good.
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah, I'm not really, you know, concerned about pressure. It's fine, as long as it's possible. Sometimes when they ask something that's just not possible, it's not possible.
You have to be honest.
Clear since the beginning. Like, no, what you're asking is just not doable.
Understood. That takes me to my next question. What's the most commercial project or high profile project you have done that you're most proud of?
Well, some I can name, some not. That's
NDAs.
the problem. I have a lot of NDAs. Yeah.
Understood.
Well, there's so many, but
one that sticks out. Like, what's your maybe a top 3?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there's a lot of butterflies at the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas and the one in Macau as well. I don't know if you know, but Macau is actually the capital of the world for gambling.
Really?
The revenue of Macau is 2.5 times the one of Las Vegas.
Holy
All
cow.
the major hotels that there are in Las Vegas, they have a twin hotel in Macau. It's just bigger. Yeah.
Holy
and nicer.
cow, Macau.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So you did their win,
All the butterfly.
the butterfly design.
Yeah.
Wow. And how do you see? I'm so intrigued by the list of clients and how you were able to connect with so many, opulent companies and respectable companies. How do you get there? Like, to somebody that's
It
listening
took
to
my
this.
whole life. I started from scratch, from zero, and knocking on many different doors and receiving a lot of no's. And then I started doing a little project here, a little project there. And then, one day a big project happened and we were very successful in that. And then from there, we started getting connections here and there. So many designers, when they start doing one thing at the end, they really love it. So then they have the next project for the next client, wherever it is, Saudi Arabia or Dubai or Japan or France or Morocco or Canada or United States, or, that's what it is. Like some of these designers and architects, they have projects all over the world. So when they like what I do, and then they have the next big project, they tend to propose it again. So that's pretty much, word of mouth. That's how it works. Pretty much that's what it is. That's the kind of connections
you build. You said there was a major project that kind of broke it open for you. What was that project?
Yeah, so that was a swimming pool in the 90s. So at that time I was broke, completely broke, trying to make my way in the art business, and I was working as in the construction to make a living.
Yep, I read about
and
that.
Then I started trying to understanding, how I could connect the two things, because I believe maybe there is something I can do besides just creating little portraits in mosaics, for, or little things for the church or the museum. There's a more like a commercial way that I can do this. So I started trying to propose mosaics for bathrooms and spas and stuff like that. At the beginning, it was very difficult because we're talking about the early 90s. People didn't want to invest a lot of money in the bathrooms,
Right.
Not like today.
Oh,
today, the bathroom is one
bathrooms
of the most
cost
expensive.
more than a house.
Yeah. And today, the bathroom is the most expensive
bathrooms
thing
and
inside
kitchens.
Yeah. Like back then, no, the bathroom was just like the
Pink.
the easiest thing possible.
Yes.
You just go there to do your dirty business and then you get out of it. But, so then was very difficult. But so I was just knocking at doors of potential clients and architects and trying to propose what I do and just receiving no's constantly. No, you're crazy. It's too expensive. Nobody wants to do it. Until an architect got back at me after a few months that I got in touch with him, an architect from Milan, telling me that he had a project near Geneva in Switzerland that he could not figure out how to make the client happy because they had this major swimming pool and they did not know what to do with it. The client wanted to do something completely different. He didn't like the idea of having the average plaster pool that everybody has. All the other hotels around him, they had the same pool. He just wanted something different. So the client, the architect told me maybe we can explore this thing. I'm lost. I tried to propose so many different things, so many different textures, so many different colors,
Right.
so many we just didn't know. So maybe this is something that we can do. So I hopped on a train because I didn't have enough money for paying for the gas for driving over there. Yeah, I was broke.
Wow. We'll talk about strength to follow your dreams.
I go there. I meet the architect in Switzerland at the hotel. I walked in without having a clue of what I was doing. I have to be honest. I had no clue. I was scared. But I saw that could be my chance. So I was like, I have to try at least. If I fail, I fail. But I have to try. This is my chance. So I walk in and, the architect introduces himself and the client introduces himself. The wife's client introduces herself. we sit down at this table and they started talking and showing all the blueprints of this thing, and I had no clue what they were showing me. And I was like, what the hell is this thing? And I was pretending that I had a little bit of a clue. It was like, oh yeah. And then I was asking some questions to try to understand what that drawing was and what the other sketch was. But then at the end of the day, I just gambled on myself, because pretty much the client was asking me like, okay, so what can you do for me? What can you do for me? And I had no clue. And then I look at the client's wife and I ask her like, what is it that you do like, ma'am? Like, what do you like? Just tell me. And she just straight up told me, I love flowers and everything that has to do with it. So then I look at the clients like, that's it.
That's it.
Let's
flowers.
put a bunch of roses all around your swimming pool. And the client was like, you can do that? I'm like, yes, I can. Let's create a beautiful mosaic with roses everywhere. And the client was like, done.
Wow. Look at that.
So the architect was blown away. So all happy, we left, we signed a contract over there. I had no clue. It was like a contract with nothing in it. And then with a promise that I will come up with all the pricing and, timing and all that stuff. And the architect was like, this is amazing. Like, can you really do that? And I told like, I hope so. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, I know I can do the mosaics. That's not a problem. How the hell am I going to apply it in a swimming pool? I've never done it. I have no clue how to do it. So I asked him like, just tell me this. How long do we have? He was like, well, the pool is not built yet. So we have a little bit of time. So I told him like, okay, give me 6 months. I'll prepare myself. I'll do research, I'll do testing, and I'll come up with a plan. So in the meanwhile, it was like, well, we have to give him a price though. I'm like, I have no
idea. Oh my God.
So then it was like, well, we need to give him a price in the next 10 days. I'm like, okay.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
How old were you, if you want me asking that? That time?
I was 20, 21.
96, 97?
Yeah, 96, 95 actually.
95? Okay.
So, yeah, I was 21.
Okay.
So I go back home. I'm like, now I'm in trouble. So back then, no internet.
That's
So
right.
you could not really Google how to do installation of a swimming pool.
You gotta go to the
couldn't do
library.
it. So that was like, I go to the town library. There was pretty much nothing. So I go to the bigger, Ravenna, the main city. I found a little bit, and then I started thinking, well, wait a second. What do the tile guys do, the regular tile guys do when they do a shower or that kind of stuff? So I started exploring all the different options. I started getting in touch with all the representatives of all the different major brands for, tile materials.
Gotcha.
Shower installations
Making the
and that kind of
connections.
stuff. And also I was going to all the stores, the major stores around town, and asking like, okay, what do you guys recommend for waterproofing this? What do you guys recommend for? And then I bought a bag of every single material that they were recommending with latex, no latex, and this and that. So I started like just testing. I was making like little small vessels in concrete. Right. And just applying waterproofing, different kind of waterproofing, see how it works, how it doesn't work, putting it under the sun, under the rain, filling it up with water, putting a little pressure on it. And a lot of these materials were failing because these were material for showers mostly. So a shower and a pool is
a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Got it.
Until I found one that it seemed to be working. It was like, okay.
Now we're getting
Then I was like, okay, how can I make sure that this works well? So I started using with this material a special fabric that looks like a net, because what I noticed is that this material, just like every other material, they were cracking in a few spots here and there. So if you have a crack, you have the water going through. So I was like, this is gonna fail. So I started experimenting with fabric, and it was a game changer. Yeah. Like it wouldn't crack anymore because the fabric was working as an anti-fracture system with this waterproofing material. So it's like, oh, that's key. So I got in touch with the people. That was a product produced by Mapei, which is international brand. It's Italian, but now it's all over the world. And I got in touch with them and like, listen, I'm experimenting this thing and it's working really well. Have you guys ever tried it? And they told me like, no, we never tried, but this is very interesting. Can you come over? I was like, guys, like I'm doing this thing. It's like, yeah, also to be honest, like I have no money. I can't come over. It's like, we'll pay for it.
Wow.
So they
flew you out.
Not flying.
Yeah,
They drove me. They sent me a drive. They drove me over there. It's like 2.5 hours from my hometown. Then they paid for the hotel and I started showing them how to do it. And then I became their technician. So I've been working with Mapei for 25.
That's amazing.
30 years.
One little connection.
Yeah, and they loved it. So then they started doing experimenting and they implemented, and then they came over to the job site when I did the installation of their waterproofing, took all the pictures, they put in their catalogs, and they started experimenting as well. And so at the end, after so many months and trials and testing and all that stuff, then I finally created the Mosaic and it brought everything over. And I figured out that pretty much I did not really make a lot of money out of it. A little bit, but not as
much as you
because
were.
I have no
It was your
idea
first
of
real
the pricing.
project.
Yeah. But at the end, the result was great. The client was happy. The architect was like amazing. And we won the prize as the best artistic project in Europe for 1996.
Wow.
My name was not mentioned though.
Really?
Yeah.
But is this
the architect took all the credit? So after 6 months, he comes back with another project. So then I told him like, man, this time I need my name to appear. Like I need to be involved. I can't.
You have to have the credit. Yeah. Was that Marina's Pinewood?
No.
Oh, this was
no. That was just an artistic piece that I created
just
for a little contest in my
your town,
my hometown. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
No. This was for the swimming pool.
Game changer.
Yeah, that was for the swimming pool. Every year there was an award for artistic features in homes or hotels or swimming pools all around Europe. So we won, but again, I wasn't mentioned. So after 6 months, he shows up again. And I told like, I this time I need to have my name mentioned. I'm trying to build a business here and my reputation. So he walked away.
Wow.
And then after a few months, he comes back. I'm like, okay, I have to be honest. I tried so many other people. Nobody could pull off what you did. So I guess I have to stick with you. And okay, you will be mentioned. So from there, my name came out. And then, little by little, I started traveling back and forth in many different places. Other architects started getting in touch with me until I was here in the United States doing a huge project. And then after, a year that I was here, I decided to move. And here we are.
That's so awesome, man.
And I closed my company in Europe. And then I opened it up here after I set up all my documents and, all the papers and everything else.
Danilo, amazing story, because I'm just still stuck on the fact that if you were so discouraged to not go that night and take the train, you said, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine that one small step that you didn't take.
Oh yeah, that opened the door.
Yeah. So that but the resilience is what I'm looking at, because in the face of being broke, in the face of being uneducated in the space, you found a caveat that got the attention of a company in Italy that made you drive you out there to show them with the netting and everything. Like, that's a very specific thing that you've discovered through your trial and error that got you those first steps to where you were at.
Yeah.
That troubleshooting is called resourcefulness. That's what I like to say. Your level of resourcefulness and taking your gamble, like you said, look where it landed you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that is inspiring, because I've been told many, many times I'm crazy and that's not going to work. This will never happen. What's your problem? People don't do that. Just like the whole thing with the flowers that the lady told you with the pool. No, you can't do that. But you did it. So my point is that you got to just trust your instinct and be a little courageous to get where you need to be, because now we're here 25 years later, or whatever the case is. successful businessman, successful artist, so many projects under your belt.
Well, I have another story then.
Please share.
So even before that, I was hiding the fact that I was a mosaic artist a little bit because my family was always against it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They
So
never-
you were getting
They never
this-
supported me. No, they always like my father always told me like you'll be broke and you will go nowhere. So there's no way that you can make a living. So stop with this stupid dream
Wow.
and go get a real job.
Did your mom say the same thing, or
Pretty
just-
much.
So you
not,
had
not
both
this
parents.
harsh, but
Yeah.
yeah. They wanted me to get like the regular job, like 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, and just work for a big company and having my safe salary, and and working from Monday to Friday. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I never accepted that. So
Good for you.
They told me like, you're a loser. Look at you. Like you are working crazy hours as a waiter or as a mason or whatever else to pay for this stupid business that you're trying to create. This is silly. Nobody can do that. You are stupid. You are ashamed of the family. Like all this kind of stuff. Yeah. But you know what? That led me to just leave. At a certain point, I couldn't take it anymore, and I was like, you know what? Screw all of you.
Yeah. I'm gonna
I
show.
want.
you.
I want to try. No, my drive was not even. I want to show you. I mean, sometimes, obviously, I told myself that, but mostly, I was looking at myself in the mirror. It's like, listen, if you don't try, that's the main failure. It's much better to try and fail
than to never try.
At least you know that you did try, that you had the balls to try,
Heck
that
yeah,
you
I
had
believe you, man. Yeah.
courage, the willingness to try. And you know what? We are human, so we can fail. That's okay. We'll pick ourselves up and we'll move on. But if you don't try, the worst thing is you look back when you're 50 or 60
Regret.
and regret it. It's like, what if I did try?
Yeah.
That's the worst. That's the real failure.
Absolutely.
That's the only failure that I could not accept. So then I was like, you know what? Try as hard as you can. And if you don't succeed, it's fine. You will be able to find something else because you're not stupid and you're a hard worker. So everybody appreciates that. So if I have to be a waiter or if I have to be something else, no disrespect for
Any waiters
or,
that are listening.
Don't get me wrong. It's a very respectful job, which I worked very hard at for like 4 years. But that's not my drive. That's not what I aspire to be. But I will be okay if that's what I need to do if I
Correct.
did not succeed in my dream. But I need to try. I need to try to feel, that I tried. And then it was very hard for, so many years. I would say 3 times I was very close to quit. Very close.
What was the
because
lowest point? What was the worst of it?
I would say right before doing this swimming pool. So 94,
Okay.
95.
So
I was,
21, 20 years old.
I was dead broke. Like no money. I was working and putting all the money into this business and buying new materials, new glass and this and that. And I was not really selling much, few little things that would not pay me anything. Just covering the expenses of the material, not really my time for doing it. So I was like, this is really not working. This is really not working. So I remember one day I was at the supermarket and I really wanted a nice sandwich with prosciutto di Parma, famous, ham, and I could not afford it. I could not buy it because I didn't have enough cash with me or in my bank. Like I didn't even have a bank account. I just had my cash in my pocket, and I was just so then I just bought a piece of bread with nothing in it, and I went home and I cried.
Wow.
And I felt like a failure. And then it was like, you know what? I'm still alive though. Let's try again.
Let's go for it.
Let's try again. Let's keep doing it. Sooner or later, something will happen. And it did.
Yeah,
And it
look,
did.
what,
it did.
what did your parents say once it started to make some movement and you started becoming successful?
They still, to this day,
Stop.
don't believe that, that I was successful, that I'm successful. Yeah.
Man, you are.
It's especially with my father, it's been very, very hard.
It's
still
hard
to this day. My
yeah.
mother, when I call her, she's still back in Italy. She's old now. She's 89.
God bless her.
And when I call her and I tell her, I'm about to fly to LA to do a project, and sometimes she's telling me, you know what, you spend all this money for the flights and this and that. You have to save some money sometimes. Like, you will always be broke. Like, Mom, the clients are paying for my flights. And she's like, stop that. Like, I would never believe that. How can someone paying a flight for you? I'm like, it's part of my business.
It's a new world out here.
It's like, that's what they do. They want me, and they pay a flight and hotels. She doesn't believe it. In her mind, back then it didn't happen, obviously. It didn't work that way. And for her, it's still impossible. She still believes that I'm broke, that like I'm still struggling to make a living. But
it's so fascinating you say that, because I'm Puerto Rican, and same thing on my side of the fence, where your mother, your father, oh, what are you wasting your time doing that? No, you need to get a job, et cetera, et cetera. But what I notice is the fear consumes a person so much that you really start to consciously tell yourself, this is not possible. So they look at you like you're superhuman or you're like an alien, because you're doing the things that in their minds is not even logical. Can't happen, will not happen, cannot even make it happen, because of the fear and because of the old school mentality, right? Like my father's old school, my mother, oh, you need to work, you need to save, you need to retire, etc. But you gotta live. You gotta live through what you love. And I think a lot of people miss out on what their true passion is because they're so scared to fail. And when people are scared to fail, they will project onto you their fear. And if you are aware of who you are, it won't affect you. It's like it'll bounce right off of you. But it's hard when it's your family.
But in my case, especially my mother, like she went through the war, Second World War, and we were a poor family. Like when I grew up, like we didn't have much money. So in her mind, that's what everybody is, besides few exceptions.
Right.
But last time that we spoke something about it, and then I had to give up but I told her like, I'm doing this major swimming pool in Tennessee, and she was like, what do you mean a swimming pool? Like, did you tell the client that then they have to, clean it, they have to treat it, like they have to take care of that swimming pool? Like, do they know? Like, Mom, of course. Like, do they have time to do it? Like, no, they don't, but that's not what they do. They have people doing it for them. What? They pay other people for doing it? Like, yeah. Like, how do they have the money to do that? You have to tell them. They probably don't know. They get themselves in trouble. Like, Mom, this guy's billionaire. It's like, what are you talking about?
Wow. She can't,
It doesn't exist. It's like, yes, Mom, it does. Like, she still lives in the old world.
Yeah, the old world,
It's just where things, like, were not the way that they are today.
It's a whole different world today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you being now a family man yourself, what values or, beliefs do you want to share to your family, your wife, your child? Like what's your belief going forward? Yeah.
So the major thing that I learned from my parents, especially from my father, was that on the contrary of what he did, I will support my family. I will support my son. I will encourage him to do and pursue what he loves as much as he puts effort into it. Otherwise, it's not worth it.
Correct.
Like, he needs to know what hard work is. I'm trying. Obviously, you know, I fall back into spoiling my kids sometimes a little
It
bit too
happens,
much,
yeah,
but I try to be hard as well.
Yes.
If I say no, is no. And I try to give him little lessons every day. And like, listen, you want this? Sure. Okay. You know what? Set up the table. He's 3 years old and he's setting up the
bless him,
table
man.
for dinner
Look
for
at
us.
that. Wow.
And then, you know, and just a few little things, you know, here and there. Like you want to watch half an hour TV? Okay. So you have to do something for it. And he's going to come work with me on the job site soon, you know, because
teach him early.
He needs to learn what it means hard work. At the same time, I'm going to give him love, and I'm going to tell him that, hey, if this is what you love, go for it. But just
work your butt off, man.
100% of yourself into it. Otherwise, like, you don't half-ass things.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work that way.
Faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
So you can have all the faith in the world, but if you don't put the work behind it, it's dead. You're not, the train's not leaving the station.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I love the fact that you had your parents be hard on you, or in retrospect tell you couldn't do it, you did it, and now you took all that, and with your son now at 3, when he becomes a grown man, he's going to have that example of a hardworking father that will support his dream as long as he is able to work for it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful, oh, it gives me goosebumps.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful thing.
Never
man.
is given. Like,
Yes.
you know, you have to earn everything you have, like I did. I came from zero, like nothing. We had nothing. I didn't have my own clothes when I was a kid.
Wow.
I was, you know, borrowing clothes from my uncle or like older stuff. I was the laughing stock of like my school, my classes and everything, because I didn't have money. We didn't have money. So, you know, so I know what it means. At the same time, I don't want him to go through that, but I need him to succeed for himself.
Not just for you,
I
for
need
himself,
him to
yes.
understand what hard work means and what dedication is, because at the end of the day, if you just spoil him without giving him responsibility,
It's
he's gonna fail. Like, because one day I'm not gonna be here to protect him. One day he's gonna be in the real world, and the real world is filled with sharks.
Absolutely.
So you need to know how to navigate those waters.
Man, you are just hitting every point. If it's almost like your beliefs in business and personal life, they align very much the same with me. So that's why I'm so enamored by our conversation, because I feel like if everybody believed this same mantra of process, everyone would be way more successful.
The world will be better.
Yeah, and I resonate with you because I myself was homeless. I myself was made fun of. I couldn't afford expensive clothes. My mother would, you know, bread and butter. That's it. You know what I mean? So I remember being teased. So you telling me this, it resonates with me. And the fact that you're sitting here in front of me today, successful entrepreneur, successful artist, successful husband, father, etc., it's very inspiring. And I know that your story, man, you know, once people hear this, they're just gonna get up and go, because I think a lot of these stories like yours needs to be expressed, because we're living in such a microwave era where everything needs to be given to somebody.
Yeah.
Don't work hard for it. Here. I don't want to go drive to pick up my food, DoorDash, Uber Eats. Like nobody wants to work hard anymore for what they want. You exemplify the opposite of that, and I appreciate that you actually work hard every day for
I
that.
go a step further, and that you're mentioning food. Don't DoorDash. Don't go pick up your food. Cook it yourself.
There we go. I like that. Yes. Organic, real ingredients, know what you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
Because just like we were talking about this before the cameras rolled, that you when you lost a lot of weight, you were doing the carnivore
Not
diet.
really a lot of weight. I did it mostly for inflammation.
For inflammation because of the surgery. Yes.
Because I had surgery, so I didn't really lose much weight, but it was mostly for reduced inflammation. So I started a little carnivore journey. I will not stay on it forever because,
I hear you, man, yeah.
because you know, I'm Italian.
You need bread.
I
You
love
need
my
bread.
pasta.
Come
I
on.
make my own bread. Every
gosh.
Sunday I make my own loaves
Awesome,
of
man.
bread with my yeast and everything else. So I need that.
You need that, of course.
But at the same time, you know, sometimes you have to understand what's needed and just do it. And yeah, it's a little hard, but you know, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay to
Yeah.
do hard things.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that because like it's what we said earlier, the hard things are what shape you. The
Yeah.
easy things don't really it's fast food for the brain.
Yeah.
The hard things are the things that will give you the character and the discipline.
And also makes you proud and look back and just being happy.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I did that. Not everybody else could say that, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like, it was hard. It was difficult, challenging, long hours. Sometimes I was tired. And yeah, it would have been, you know, easier to just stay on the couch. But no, I did it. I worked hard. And now look at what I did.
One of the most powerful stories I've had in my podcast so far, because you can say something or tell somebody a story, but to see the living proof, I'm sitting here with you now. Not that I just believe you because I do, but your work shows it for itself. Your character, your demeanor, the way you carry yourself, it shows that number one, you care, and number two, you work very hard for the things you have.
One of the things that my clients are always amazed is, you know, they meet me for the first time, we sit down a few times, then I start showing them some sketches, you know, based on their vision, my vision, putting them all together, trying to figure out, you know, what the final project will be until we finalize everything. And then I show up dressed for work, which means, you know, dirty clothes,
boots, jeans,
and I'm on my knees,
Yep,
mixing
crushing it.
cement,
Yep.
and applying cement with a trowel,
getting to it.
and you know, like installing everything, and like, so it's really you installing it? You know, they think I was the
Just the
salesperson.
salesman. Yes, yes.
You know, it's like, yeah, okay, and then I have my workers. No, it's me. It's me and my helper. We mix cement, we pour cement, troweling all the time, scratching it with the, you know, with a straight edge.
Love it, man.
And, you know, working hard, long
That's
hours,
it, man.
and until it's done. And at the end, they see the final result and they're blown away.
Ecstatic, right?
Yeah, it's an amazing process. It's an
Man.
amazing process that I still love every single day and every single thing. Even the hard and nasty and dirty things. I'm covered in dust and cement all the time. And you know what? I take a shower and I'm like, another amazing day of work.
I love
yes.
it, man. Rewarding.
Yes.
I love it. Oh, man, Danilo, we have a couple minutes left. It's been amazing. I want to get into the last portion of our show. I call it the mastermind questions. Quick answers, just a couple. I want to get to know you on a more personal level.
Sure.
Okay. What book have you read that inspired you the most?
Oh, wow. I read a lot. I really love reading. Wow, the book that inspires me the most.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Well, the problem, you know what? The problem is, I've been reading in so many different languages, so many books you cannot even find here.
Oh, wow.
Because they're, you know, from Italy.
From Italy.
So there was like a specific one. It's Italian. Translating it will be a little difficult. The title, but let's put it that way. It's called The Band Without a Name.
Okay. How do you say it in Italian?
So it was like the boys of the band without a name. I
Okay.
ragazzi della banda senza nome.
Okay.
So pretty much was a story of little kids, and there was a kid that was the poorest one of them, and they formed this group of people, group of kids to play together, and there was like a much bigger kids and much bigger group, like, you know, like older, so more powerful, and,
Right.
and they were making fun of them all the time, and they were struggling because they wanted to play in this field, and the other group was taking over all the time. They didn't let them play, so they figured out a way to pretty much to kick their ass, you know. And like the whole book was about the struggle and the inventions and the tricks and the things that they will come up with, especially the poor guy, because he couldn't buy anything. He didn't have any money. So he was like going to the woods and collecting pieces of wood here and there to try to make, you know, little like bows and crossbows and
Gotcha.
things like that. And they came up with this whole game plan to scare these guys away from that area, that field where they wanted to play.
Got it.
And then so those guys finally left,
And they were able to
conquered the whole thing. And this is our reign now. We are the kings of this area. Now. So it was fascinating. It was inspiring because I was 6 or 7 years old.
Right. Wow.
And I was reading about this thing. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Resourcefulness.
And yeah, I was like, the struggle of these kids that they were getting beat up every day by the older kids, but still not giving up. So that was like, you know what? Yeah, if they can do it, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. So that was the inspiration about all my concept of, again, swinging the axe.
Yeah.
Keep swinging the axe.
If it takes 1,000 or 5. Yep.
Yep.
Beautiful. Beautiful, man. What person in your life has brought you the most influence?
In a good and bad way, my father. My father taught me how not to be spoiled, definitely, since he did not give me anything ever. But he taught me hard work. He was a hardworking man, even though unfortunately he was sick. So for so many moments in his life, he could not really work, and that's why we didn't really have much money. We were struggling because he was an amazing furniture maker, like amazing.
Wow.
But it was called from like all over the place because everybody knew how good it was. The problem is working with wood, the dust and all the chemicals for all the stains and all this stuff made him like really sick, like big asthma.
Oh, Jesus.
So he could barely breathe sometimes. So he couldn't work for months and months, and then maybe doing one project and then not working for another 6 months. But when he was working very hard. Wow. And so he gave me that. And at the same time, inspiration, because he really was against what I was trying to do, and that was inspiring to me, to do a challenge, an extra challenge. Like, okay, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna teach you a lesson. My lessons is I can do it. I'm not as stupid as you think I am. I'm not as weak as you think I am. And I will conquer this challenge. I will make it happen. So that was also inspiration, like a negative inspiration, pretty much a reverse.
It definitely worked in your favor.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
powerful, Danilo. What keeps you driven in life?
Again, I'm blessed enough to not consider myself arrived. I'm still a student of the game. I'm still studying all the time, new technique, new materials, and experimenting new things. I'm not giving that up. The motivation is the next project, the next challenge, making the next difficult thing, and having the client happy. I have a dream that I know I will never be able to do it, but it's still a dream. I would love one day to be the first one to create a mosaic on the moon.
Wow.
But,
wow.
But
is that...
It will be very difficult.
God, I wish you were born like 500 years later.
Who knows?
That's yeah, you never know. With the technology now and Elon Musk.
Who knows?
Might happen sooner than you think.
Who knows?
Very, very inspiring. Have you ever had any vices? And if you did, how did you overcome them?
Yes, I was a smoker.
Cigarettes, weed? Okay.
Cigarettes, big time, unfortunately. And I started at a very young age.
Wow.
And then I was 20. I was out a Friday night with a friend of mine, and he asked me for a cigarette. And I looked at him and I was like, you know what? Take it. I gave him the whole packet, the lighter. I'm like, yours. And he looked at me like, what are you doing? Like, you do it. I'm done. I quit. And he told me like, oh, come on. What are you talking about? I never smoked a cigarette since.
Wow, that's amazing. How old were you at that time when you
20 or 21.
Wow. Right around the time your life started to change.
Yeah. I was just like, you know what? I'm killing myself with this thing. So, yeah, I don't want to do it anymore.
Self-correct.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Nobody told me you have to quit. I just
You're intuitive.
Yeah,
you understood.
Like, you know what? I'm ready to do it. And yeah, I never touched a cigarette since.
Powerful, man.
I don't have any other big vice. Well, is a vice? Probably it is food. I just love
Who doesn't love
Italian
food? Come on.
I love cooking it. I love eating it. I just love it.
I notice everyone that doesn't have any negative vices like drugs or alcohol, we love food.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, come on.
I like
it's not going to
alcohol,
kill.
not drinking too much.
Not drinking too much. I have a little bit on the weekend. You know what I mean?
I have a high passion for alcohol. Like
Wine drinker?
Not much, a little bit with a nice steak or something like that. Mostly rum and a little bit of bourbon, whiskey, but mostly rum. I have a big collection of rum from all over the world. Sometimes
cool, man.
Sometimes I just take a flight to go buy 1 or 2 bottles.
That's so cool, man.
I don't even know how much I have in my collection, but it's a big collection of very rare and special stuff.
We might have to have a date night with our wives.
Absolutely.
I'm a tequila drinker, so I got some good stuff. So we can show each other our different tastes in alcohol. I like that, man. I'll leave you with this one. What's the last thing you bought that changed your life?
That I bought?
That you purchased that changed your life?
The new mixer for mixing the cement.
Nice. There you go.
It makes it a little easier. Faster. It works pretty well. So, yeah, I would say. I don't know. It didn't change my life, but it makes it a little easier and faster to mix epoxy things. Other than that, you know what? Yeah, my house here in New Jersey. Nice. We were living in an apartment. And during the pandemic, obviously life changed and I was really tired. So then I looked at my wife and I told her, like, you know what? I really need to move. I need a backyard. I need to have people
Inspiration,
over.
man.
I need to cook.
You're an artist.
Friends.
Yeah, you gotta breathe.
But when you're in an apartment, it was a nice apartment, but it's limited.
Restricted.
Yeah.
You're restricted.
And I love having a lot of people over and cooking for them, having a feast and just enjoying our time. I love way more that than going to a restaurant. Like, just prefer having people
at home eating and enjoying.
And so then we decided, and we went to Long Island first, and then I was like, yeah, let's try New Jersey. And then we couldn't really find anything until I moved to. We were like by chance. In Atlantic Island, down on the Jersey Shore.
Oh, that's closer to me.
And we looked around and it was like, yeah, you know what? We like it here. So then I was like, okay, that's it.
Atlantic Islands is beautiful, man.
Yeah. So then we bought a place 10 minutes away from there. And,
nice.
And, nice backyard. We have people
Good
over.
for you, man.
Cook. I renovated the whole thing by myself during COVID. Because I had 2 major projects, one in Japan and one in Australia, that they just evaporated because of the travel restriction during COVID. So I was like, okay, I'll take my time to just renovate the whole thing. I gutted the whole house and I just by myself, and I just redid the whole thing. Now we have a huge humongous kitchen.
All Mosaic.
No, I have a bathroom in Mosaic. I have a lot of other mosaics around that I created. I have Jimi Hendrix when my son was born. I decided to name him Hendrix.
That's so cool. That's his wow.
So I created Jimi Hendrix in his honor. So that's gonna stay with him. That's his. Then I created John Lennon for my wife.
He's your major inspiration too,
and,
right?
It's one of them. Yeah. And then Marilyn Monroe,
Prince.
These are the ones that. The copy that I have created for me are in my house.
Got it.
And then the other ones that I created are for clients and for other people that commissioned. But soon we will have a new one that I will not reveal yet. But we will.
You could if you want to.
No, I can't because it will be a surprise.
Understood, man. And that's the last thing I forgot to ask you, which I had in my notes, and you just brought it back to the canvases that you're making now. Is that something you implemented recently, or have you always been doing that? Iconic canvases?
Yeah, well, no, I did something similar. Like, I've been commissioned by clients to create portraits of their daughters or like other things. But then a few years ago, I started like looking around and I saw like a lot of these people, they're disappearing, they're dying, like I'm a rock fan.
Yeah.
So like soon all these guys are going to be gone. So in my little world, what can I do? So then my wife gets pregnant. I'm like, okay, how are we going to name this kid? And then we started like going through so many names. And then I was like, you know what? let's do something different. One of the biggest icons for me is Jimi Hendrix. So then I created a Mosaic, and then when he was born, we named him Hendrix, and then from there it was like, well, let's keep going. So then Marilyn Monroe, and then Marlon Brando, and then John Lennon, and then Prince, and then many others that will come along.
Amazing. So the creative process never finishes.
No, yeah.
It just flourishes and evolves.
Yeah.
And I love that, man. And wow, Danilo, I have not that I didn't expect this to be amazing, but such a newfound respect for what you do.
Well, thank you so much.
And your art and just your soul as a person. I could tell you have a very good spirit, and I know you're gonna keep.
Try.
Yeah, no, you're doing amazing, man. I pray that you keep touching lives, you keep creating, you keep expanding, and I would love to see in the next 5 years have another sit down and see where you're at then. Because I think
whenever you want.
I think the story is going to get better, and the inspiration is going to be way more impactful, if not already, with what we had today. So
thank you,
Danilo. I really appreciate your time. Before we get out of here, please let everybody know where they can find you, your contact information, your website, etc. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope people enjoyed it. Whoever's interested in contacting me, some potential clients, obviously, but also people that are just looking for inspiration or they're curious. My Instagram, Art and Mosaics, or they can look at my name, Danilo Bonazza, as well. artandmosaics.com is my website, so they can see what I do. The Instagram is more updated. It's just easier to update, new projects and new things all the time. But I try to keep up the website updated as well with the major projects that I can show. Some of them, again, because of NDAs, I cannot show. But whatever I can show. It's there. So
amazing.
And if someone wants to send me a message, I will always check my DMs and Instagram as well, and I will answer. Maybe not right away, but I'm pretty thorough. I'm pretty quick with that.
Again, thank you so much for your time, Danilo.
You.
I wish you 1,000 million times more success, more love, more life in your business and in your future. Thank you so much.
It was great.
Likewise. That is a wrap on episode 24 of I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman podcast. If this podcast inspired or moved you to follow your dreams or aspirations, please subscribe to our Apple, Spotify, and YouTube platforms by typing in Luis Guzman, I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman, and clicking that subscribe button. Please make sure to follow my Instagram account, I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman, one word. For further content and updates, I am thankful for Danilo, for every listener, and I pray you have a blessed one, not a stressed one. Peace.
Great.
Love it. Thank you so much. That's great, man. That was a great story. Now you're inspiring. Next week, we're going to be accessible. All right, let's do it.
I need you by my side.
I appreciate you.